Good morning, colleagues. Good morning to everyone. My name is Kosie Tunduli. I'm from the Research Capacity Development Unit. Colleagues, I would like to welcome you in today's workshop titled Building a Digital Research Toolkit, Essentials Technologies for Today's Supervisor. So I would like to thank you, colleagues, for taking your time in attending today's workshop. I know it's cold, but thank you so much for taking your time in attending today's workshop. And we're looking forward to a productive presentation. And we are honored to have our facilitator, Dr. Arno Lu, who is from CAT. Dr. Arno, thank you so much for taking your time as well in facilitating today's workshop. We do hope and believe that colleagues who have joined us today will have something to learn, and they will take it out and share with other colleagues and students as well. As I've mentioned earlier, I am Kosie Tuntuli. I'm from the Research Capacity Development Unit. Before I can move on, I would like to notify you, colleagues, that this workshop is recorded. This is for the purpose of keeping all the records of our workshop, as well as to share with all our participants and those who were not able to attend workshop during the time of the workshop. So we will be sharing the recording as well as the presentation of this workshop via our digital platforms, which is the model communities, which includes the supervisor module community as well as the PDRF module community. We will be also sharing all the resources via our RCT management system, which is the platform that is available under ULink, under services from your ULink. And then the last option is RCTMS. That is where you will be able to access all our previous workshop recordings as well as resources, as well as being able to book for all our upcoming workshops. Now, I just want to go through some few housekeeping rules. Please feel free to use the chat to ask questions or raise your hand to engage in discussion. We do encourage an interactive and collaborative environment, so don't hesitate to share your thoughts or experiences. I will enable all your mics, colleagues. Please do make sure that when you are not speaking or making any contribution, make sure that your mic is always muted, and as well as there is no background noise from your mic that can interrupt the proceeding of the workshop. I will be sending also a feedback evaluation form under the chat. The feedback colleagues do help us in terms of evaluating our service delivery, as well as to see the impact of these and the relevance of this workshop that we are providing. We do share our feedback with the facilitators. So we share an attendance report, a feedback evaluation to them so that they can see or assess themselves as well. So we do appreciate your feedback or your input on that. So we ask you, colleagues, to take your 3 minutes and fill that in. Without any further waste of time, I would like now to introduce our facilitator, Dr. Arno. Dr. Arno is a teaching and learning consultant, which is an institutional design at the University of Johannesburg Center for Academic Technologies, which is known as CAT. He has been involved in curriculum development and implementing computer courses involving the integration, application, implementation, and the evaluation of computer-based education courses. Dr. Arno has been involved in projects at the University of Johannesburg since 1998 and was also a co-author and researcher of computer-based textbooks for the Gauteng Department of Education. Research and course development included training educators, subject facilitators, presentation and implementation of research and publications and presentations of papers on the implementation of web-based education in the school system. Once again, thank you for joining us, Dr. Arno, and to the colleagues that have joined us today. Thank you so much, and we're looking forward to a productive and insightful session. I now hand over to Dr. Arno. You are welcome to start with your presentation. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that warm welcome. Thank you for being here, ladies and gentlemen. And we will definitely do a bit of hands-on things as we will continue. So I just want to share my screen. That will be the main platform we are working with. And furthermore, you will also see that as we go along and we work within these things, it's also important that you see that we actually have got a workbook that we will work with. And in that workbook of ours, to get that access, just note that I have pasted it in the chat. So the handout for today, which would be what I show on screen and a bit of extra things like a little essay I've added into that, is available there for the download as a PDF. And then the, the Google form, which is quite important there because that is the workbook that you will use during the session to get hands-on of what is happening. What I also want to show you is there are certain things that you are going to try out during this workshop. No pressure on you or so. It is to try out because it's needed. And you'll see on the screen, I'm going to use AI, but if you want to leave this chat on, or this specific teams we are working in, and you want to try something out, it's always good in your browser to, with a plus sign on top, just open up another tab so that you can very easily jump around between these and try things out. That then you don't have to log out of this Teams meeting to be able to see what is going on. So let me just get back to my PowerPoint here. And we are going to try and establish to develop, not try, we are actually, but it's a personalized learning thing for you as an individual. When you participate, you'll be able to have a toolkit at the end. So without getting your expectations totally off the cart, what happens here is if someone asks me, what AI tools should I use? Then it's as good as someone asks me, what app should I use? There are millions of them. And what you do when you have so many apps is you try and you experiment until you find the best one for you. It is not a sit around the Brightlace fire and then say, but listen, I use that and now everybody uses it and runs just along with a train, because tomorrow it might not exist anymore. So the best thing is try these things out. And when people say to me, I don't have time, what I usually say to people is, you know what? I've got a gold bar in my car's boot. You can have it if you give me 20 Rand. Then you should see how people run to the ATM, draw 20 Rand, bring it to me, and in the hope to get a gold bar. Then suddenly they have time. So this is a matter of searching in Google quickly, checking out what is available and trying these things. The students have been doing it since their school years. So they are really, really familiar of using it. It is us as the educators that have to get on the train, else it will pass and it's too late. As we always say, AI will never replace a human, but it will replace humans who do not use it. So it is very important for us to develop our own personalized tools, kits, methods, and things that we use. That is, after all, what we want to do with our students, isn't it? So, so let's have a look there at the screen. For today, what we are going to do is we are going to understand the potential and the limits of the AI tools in postgraduate supervision, identify and evaluate tools that can assist you, develop an ethical framework for guiding students that you supervise. Practice prompt design and tool usage to enhance your feedback, your literature review, writing analysis and data analysis, that is, and then leave with a customized, discipline sensitive AI toolkit for supervision. So in the chat line, I have posted the workbook that we will use, the link to that, and I have posted the handout. So they are available. So all that you have to do is click on the link in the chat, and this will be downloaded for you or on your machine and opened up. So before we look at what we actually are going to do and try these things, I want to know if you as a supervisor think of students and your postgraduate students using artificial intelligence, what is the first word that pops up in your mind? Because that for me is an important starting point. So if anybody wants to answer, you're more than welcome. If you want to type it in the chat, you're more than welcome. So give me one word that comes up in your mind if you think of students using AI and using AI in supervision specifically. Let's see. Okay, anybody who wants to give a word or type it into the chat, there we go. Cheating, very important. Yeah, yeah. Tandiwe, thank you for that. Someone else, because I see everybody's willingly participating. When you walk into a mortuary, you see all those drawers with the bodies in. It feels like this when I look at the blocks here on the screen. At least there's one living, right? So we get very exciting. Um, yeah, cheating is one of it, definitely. Right. Remember, students react in the same way that you do. And that is what happens. Right. Can I see by means of just raising your hand and then taking it down again? Who of you are familiar with using AI? There's one person. Thanks, Lorenzo. Two people. There we have three. Good, good, good. Okay. So there we go. Thank you so much. Right. Okay. So the majority of everybody in here have never used or even looked at AI before. And yeah, that puts us a bit behind in the bus because the world and the industry is already there. So we have to get familiar with this. So that is one of the reasons why we look at the toolkit. So reasons why people are skeptic about using AI is First of all, the lack of understanding of how AI works. And that is why we develop research capacity. There's nothing wrong with it. A few years ago, there was someone at this university that said, oh, cell phones, that's just a fad. And today, I don't know anyone who does not have one. So these are all things that change. People were even scared of an ATM when it went from bank books over to bank cards. People were even scared to tap with a bank card. And now it's general usage, and the same with AI. It's something else we cannot separate from our work anymore. For students, it's a given, like Wi Fi on campus. Um, People worry about quality. In other words, is it good work being handed in or not? Ethical issues like we've seen that Tandiwe said cheating, and other ethical issues which we will have a look at. A risk of plagiarism, and let me immediately fix that term now. Plagiarism is stealing an idea, not copying and pasting someone else's work. The idea depicted in the text is plagiarism. Right. Students become too dependent on the AI. How private is the data? The fact that you feel you don't have control over what is happening, although it is not true. Bias in algorithms. Yeah, it still happens, but my argument is always, if I type in something now, like give me a picture of a family, usually some AIs, although it is starting to go out now, will give me a picture of a white family. And I have to look at my print and my prompt and say, give me a picture of a South African family or a family in, for instance, Lesotho. And then I'll get the correct image. But the more we in the Southern Hemisphere send prompts and teach our AI, the more contextualized it will react to us. So it's our own mistake that there's algorithm biases. But with an algorithm bias, I must also be very careful that I don't put in something, and I always use this example. In the beginning of 2023, I typed in, today, we are dependent on the wonderful transport the Gautrain gives us, even though there were cables stolen in February. Now in November, I type something in, I do research, and I ask the AI to give me some ideas for sustainable development in Johannesburg. And it says sustainable development can be done with free energy, although the cables of the Gautrain may be stolen. And the AI didn't do it wrong. I planted that in its thinking, in its neural pathways, when I prompted or I gave it that instruction. So, and the algorithm then looks in a different way. And that is where this is actually my research niche, and it is about AI versus the IA. And the IA is the intelligent agent, which is us as humans. So that is how it just makes everything faster and more productive for us. And people talk about, and you'll find American spelling popping up sometimes here with my language editor, but limited customization. But people think the AI can not only work for them and it's limited, but it is not. It's the way that your mind uses the AI. And that is important. Right. So then AI is not the supervisor. It is only the assistant. Remember that, because that makes a huge difference. It cannot do human academic judgment. It cannot mentor or motivate. It cannot be held responsible for the ethics that comes from the human, from you as the supervisor. AI operates without context. You must give it context. AI can reinforce biases. If you, for instance, say, right, your master's study you did looking at the number of women in South Africa, but your PhD, you want to look at the number of children. You must specify and contextualize it, else the AI would assume all your studies would be about women in South Africa. So it can reinforce those biases unless you do the or enforce the previous step within context. AI responses must be verified. You cannot just take it there for cupcakes and have it all. And that's important for students as well. Supervisors develop independent thinking. And that's how you can manipulate and use the AI as an assistant. AI cannot evaluate research fit. And another two that's important, I place them on a separate page, is supervision involves negotiation and dialogue. And that an AI cannot do for you. And the last point there, I just asked or made 10 points. AI supports workflow, but not wisdom. And that is very important, why the AI can never supervise research. It is a mere assistant for you. Right. Then what we've got there to at this stage, because nowhere in the world there are clear guidelines, but UCT has got good AI guidelines. UJ's got responses and guidelines available on the intranet, and then ethical supervision norms are available from different institutions. All those I will mention, and we must use them and see how we can take this in regard. Now, you will also see that in the chat line, what I've posted there to you is a Google form. And the Google form is actually the workbook that we will use today and put certain things in to help us. In the beginning of the workbook, I also ask consent that what you fill in there, I will use for research, but your personal information is anonymous. It will not be used, no demographics like whether you male, female, where you work. All of those is not taken into regard into the research, but mine focuses on the prompt engineering. So that's totally a different concept. So on the screen there, you'll see we have a supervision life cycle with the artificial intelligence. There are the stages. Ideate a topic. I love that word, ideation. The literature review, writing the proposal, collecting the data, analyzing it, writing and referencing, and then we have various feedback cycles that happens in about all of those stages. It's an iteration process. So the AI can be used and support brainstorming when I want to create the actual topic. It can summarize and identify gaps in the literature review. So immediately there, you will notice this is a step up from how school kids would use AI. If a student hands in something and it's copied and pasted and he or she brags that, oh, the AI wrote this for me, then this is where you say, right, can you prove what you have handed in? Not, can you prove you have written what you've handed in? Because there you must ask a huge question. Are you evaluating the AI or are you evaluating the student? Are you supervising the student or are you critiquing the AI? So decide on that quickly, and then your cheating will automatically fall away because the student may use it ethically correctly and responsibly by asking for a summary so that he or she can understand what they are writing. They may ask the AI, where is the gap in the literature? Or what is missing in my proposal to make it solid? Not ask the AI to write the proposal, because there are various techniques that we can give to the student and say, listen, can you explain to me what you've written down here? So instead of nailing the student, rather say to the student, you may use AI, but please, you must be able to explain this. That is the most important part. Proposal writing, the AI may assist you and the student to outline the proposal and to refine the argument so that certain things do not fall through the gap. Then the data collection, the AI may assist to design an instrument and may do simulations of that instrument so that you as a supervisor and the student discusses which instrument or will be the best one to use for a specific study, especially if you feed, let's say, mock data into a simulation and see what comes from that. If you see, oh, this is going to hit a brick wall, then you can soon enough discuss with the student or the student with you about the instrument and argue in the thesis why a specific device or instrument or method was used. So the thinking becomes on a much, much deeper level. Maybe I should also mention that the AI cannot gather data for you. And the reason why people feel comfortable behind arguments like, but the AI hallucinates and it gives you data that is inaccurate, I can immediately say it is not the AI's mistake, it is the human's mistake. A lot of students go and say to the AI, write an essay, because they leave it to the last minute. And then they say, please give me 10 sources in a reference list. And the AI could only find 6 sources. It is going to mock up 4 additional sources because it's adhering to the instruction that the human gave it. You asked for 10 sources, it will give you 10 sources. Even if it needs to mock up additional stuff, it still delivers the 10 sources you asked for. Whether they are verified or accurate, that's not the AI's problem. But you can say to the AI, please verify these sources. And then it will immediately say to you, 4 of them does not count or exist. And that's how you use the AI. It does not have emotions, and it has got a neuro pathway personality, but it's not a true personality. And the AI works faster than the human brain because it does not have emotions and environmental factors imposing on it. It does not get tired. So therefore you can jump leaps in the research and the thinking. if you use the AI to help you find a pathway or to supervise students or to help you get the students' next step ready for when you meet them. And that is how we build our toolkit. The data analysis, of course, it can do a lovely coding support and it can summarize the findings. It will summarize everything the student and you asked for, but you must still select what is relevant to the study. So the metacognition of the student is on a much deeper level when they start using the AI. For writing and referencing, I've already mentioned I cannot just let the AI write something and the students are aware of it, and they might send it through 3 or 4 or 5 different AI platforms. The idea is they must still give the central idea in the best wording and be able to explain the idea. If I say to students, you are not allowed to use AI to write the complete thing, I am correct. But if they are battling on how to express a specific part, of course the AI may help there. Very important, though, is that if I say to the students, you are not allowed to use AI at all to avoid ethical things like that, the big problem there is then a student is not allowed to use Grammarly as well. Because if the AI can fix my language, then I'm not allowed to use a level 1 AI, which is a spell checker and a grammar checker like Grammarly. So think carefully of that. Where does one draw the line? So it's all in your discipline of involving and demonstrating, modeling discipline and correct ethics in the AI. Else you get what we find everywhere, a lot of people with very high qualifications, but they cannot have a conversation about their subject. Or they give you a pre-undergraduate topic and talk about that. So very important. It always shows. It always say, doesn't matter what color you dye the hair, the roots will always show. So a person can show how well they have done their postgraduate research and their way of thinking. Then the draft cycles, the improvement of a draft, summarization, taking certain things out, adding certain things in. The AI can help with that. It doesn't mean the AI has to solely do it. It's merely an assistant which I can use to keep myself focused. So also in that handout, I've just done a diagrammatic representation of the cycle and the tools that at this stage exist and AI platforms. I'd rather prefer the word platform because it consists of many neurolinguistic pathways. They are noted down here. So what I do is I don't do click and tick workshops and show people what icons mean. It pops up when you're on the platform and it tells you what it does if you hover over it with a mouse. Right, so let's have a look at this. If I use the AI tools for me as a supervisor for my own efficiency and support, there are a few of the platforms existing. A great one is actually that Otter AI, but we at UJ are now prohibited to use it. We're not allowed to ask for a summary for our meetings. So another one you may use is fireflies.ai. It transcribes great things for us. For instance, the other day had someone who left a voicemail in Afrikaans. but I had to forward it to one of our technical advisors who is English speaking. And I send it through Fireflies, and within 20 seconds, the whole voicemail was transcribed into English, and I forwarded that email with the transcription. The other day, I asked ChatGPT to please do the assignment for my students, because I lecture on the sideline as well, in isiZulu, and it did it perfectly. And I also correlated it, and the translation was spot on. And these things are better day by day. So if you heard something last year of AIs hallucinating and translations not being accurate, sorry, it's old news. So these things develop day by day, and they become better and better by the hour. So we must just know how to use and manipulate it. Right, so what I want us to do is we are going to have a look at a specific paragraph. Right. This is a paragraph that is actually flawed. And I thought I would choose a generalized, because I don't know how we participating in changed into a show and tell again, although a workshop has got the word work in it. Here we have a paragraph, and this paragraph is a flawed version that a student handed in, a draft literature review paragraph. I've decided we use a general topic we all can associate with, and that is sustainable development goals. And this is the paragraph. Partnerships are important for Sustainable Development Goal 17. Many countries are involved in helping other and organizations like the UN do a lot. Phew, that's a very weak sentence. There's apostrophe a lot of data about how partnerships help, but it's hard to measure. People think it's good, but there's no clear definition of success. More research is needed. Right. Now, I know this is really bad that the student wrote here. So what I can do now is I can actually take this paragraph and I can send it through the GPT. So let me just see where I've got the raw paragraph here, which is easier for me to copy when I show this, right? And there's nothing prohibiting you from doing this when you use any of the AI tools. So I've got the one that's here on the screen open, and for this demo, I think I'm just going to use ChatGPT. Just open it. It seems like it closed by itself. It's just a UJ thing. I'll get it back now. Right, there we go. Restore. Okay, there I've got my ChatGPT. Okay, I of course pay monthly for my version. It might have been a poster or pens in my classroom. So I don't mind doing that. Although you can do it with the open version as well. Just use my Google. Okay. It's just busy network. Okay. Let me start here with a new chat. And now I can say something to the GPT here. I can say this is a paragraph, okay, written, and look at the prompt. I must be contextual with the AI to understand the way that I wanted to do something. So I say here, this is a paragraph written by a, let's say, master's student. Let's do this. Semicolon, and I paste the paragraph. Now I'm going to prompt the AI further, and I'm going to say to the language model here, please provide feedback that I can give to the student about this paragraph. Notice what I do here is I'm not saying this is a bad paragraph. Then I'm prompting the student or the AI in a biased way. I'm already implying the paragraph is bad. I'm just being neutral here, and I say, please provide feedback that I can give to the student about this paragraph. And when I press enter, the AI reads it, or the large language model, and now it's going to start creating feedback. So it's reading, it is thinking. Okay, let's just retry it. It's because I logged in again, that's why. Let's just see why it's doing this. Okay, let's just start a new chat quickly. There we go. Okay, you'll see it already notes and it gives a paragraph or a topic heading here for me, so that when I see the student, I can directly go back. Okay, you see what the AI does. Here is constructive feedback you can provide to the student on this goal. And there it is writing exactly and helping me to give feedback to the student without causing a fight, to be constructive, diplomatic, yet a mentor and a supervisor as well. And I like that. Thank you for the effort in summarizing the importance of partnership. So I might as well have emailed this back to the student or say it in the same way to the student in a face-to-face meeting. You've addressed the core, which is partnership, and acknowledged the role. Recognition of complexity, you mentioned that measuring success is difficult, which shows critical thinking. But here are the suggestions for improvement. And there it goes. Phrases like do a lot and people think it's good are too informal and vague for a postgraduate level. Try to use more precise language. For example, the UN plays a significant role in facilitating multilateral partnerships. Something about the structure and the clarity. Can you now see what happens? Now the student needs to react on this to be able to write a better paragraph. And at the same time, the student is now being conditioned on how to do better academic writing. We always worry about writing style. Meanwhile, the person could not write a paragraph correctly in the first place. Style is something developed and it takes a very long time. But you can see the feedback that the AI language model gives, which myself, I'm also a supervisor, would have never been able to give to a student after reading only 6 pages in a thesis. But now when I ask the AI to help me, I can really highlight a lot of things. What I will not do is I will not do what students think is right and copy this whole thing and paste it and give it back to the student. Because the student is going to pick up. There's a lot of apostrophes in AI writing, and there's a specific style which is not the way in which my supervisor usually writes. So that is where I have to also use what I've got here and constructively assess what I want to give the student. But it helps a lot. It saves a hell of a lot of time. Right, so here's a revised example for reference that the student can use. And what I like about the AI is let me know if you'd like help turning this into a feedback rubric or reflection prompt for the student. So I'm going to say, I'm just going to copy this. And I'm going to say to the AI, because I'm helping the student here, I'm supervising, please, right? Let me just change this. Say turn. Please turn this into a feedback rubric and reflection prompt for the student. This is now what I could give the student as an example. And now let's see what the AI does. So now it's looking at how the feedback should be done, like a rubric for a paragraph and the prompting. I don't know why it's so slow suddenly. I wonder if the network isn't a bit blocked. Let's see if I close this. There we go. Okay. Part of the formative assessment of writing development support. What I, of course, would do is I would take this rubric and say to the student, now you take this rubric, and that is what you have to look at when you write any other paragraph or section. And now I've done actually very good guidance for the student. I can, of course, say, right, let us look at this part together and use the same rubric. And the student will automatically pick up how he or she should write these things. Right. So it's continuing there by giving me a rubric, and it's also providing prompts I can give to the student when he or she wants to use AI to help in constructing some text. So that is how I would definitely use this. So while I don't know why it's a bit slow, probably the network's busy, I'm going to leave this to just finish. And then I just want to continue to the next slide. We'll come back to this now so that we don't waste time waiting, although it's much faster than what we ever would have imagined. So let's go back here. Okay. So if I look at the prompt, it's interesting that someone joins an hour later. If I look at the prompt specifically, this becomes part of my worksheet and my toolkit as a supervisor. I want to improve the prompts to generate more structured and discipline aligned feedback. Then I focus on the academic tone, the feedback format, the referencing gaps, coherence, and critical depth. So, this is the table, and it's inside your handout there. I add writing criteria, for instance, something about clarity, structure, and referencing. I'll show you now how to do that. Specify the role of the AI you are talking to. So, I would say to the AI, act as a supervisor providing feedback. And then you'll get a bit of a different formal feedback coming back, or more spontaneous. Or the AI might say, this is constructive feedback, but it's not going to put the word constructive feedback in what it's saying. Add instructional tone, highlight strengths and suggest improvement, for instance. Say, don't let the student feel bad, be constructive, show where he or she could improve with another example, something like that in your prompt, and request the format. Give the feedback in bullet points, or use academic language, or write a narrative about this page that does not make sense. And here is an example of such a prompt. You are an academic supervisor reviewing a paragraph from a master's level literature review. Provide constructive, specific feedback in bullet points, focusing on academic tone, argument development, referencing, and clarity. Also, suggest how the student can strengthen their use of sources and critical engagement. That is how I would write a prompt to the AI. Very specific. And then one would know exactly what to put in there. Just see if I've got my feedback here ready. There you see. And this is a way in which the student is guided, and you maybe, to make it better. See, structure and organization, use of evidence, critical thinking, analysis. This is the major one. When my students and I allow them to use AI, but they must hand in the workflow, they must show what they've done with the prompts and why they have changed the prompts. Then I will always have a depth of analysis and thinking as a rubric criterion when I mark the work. And then the students know they cannot just copy and paste. Student reflection prompt. This is understanding and focus. How well do you think your paragraph explains this? Read your paragraph aloud. Does it sound academic and formal? Can you see how the AI helps me here to help the student? And so these are the questions I can write down or ask the student so that I can do proper supervision. This is what students were looking for over many years, to get proper guidance so that you as the supervisor doesn't end up writing for them. And one picks that up immediately. So, right, very interesting way there on which we look at these, the use of a large language model or an AI platform. Okay, now what can you do then to make the students be aware of AI and use it correctly? Here is a tool supervisors can guide students to use ethically and effectively. For paraphrasing, there they are mentioned. Warn against the overuse of paraphrasing, because then there's a plagiarism risk. Why do I say that? I've always asked this question. If I should paraphrase and rewrite something over and over and over, how many times will I rewrite it until it looks like the same wording of the original author? And because AI is so fast, and we're talking quantum computing within the next 3 years, we're talking thinking faster than the speed of light, then how many times will the AI paraphrase something until it looks exactly the same as what an original author somewhere wrote? So if I overuse paraphrasing, there's a risk of plagiarism. If the student knows this, then it will work. And note, Quillbot is also an AI platform, but watch there, Grammarly is already mentioned. So that's why I say if you don't want students to use AI and say they copy and cheat and so on, then I don't know if they should even use a spell checker. So watch carefully at what is happening there. And ladies and gentlemen, if you are scared that a student will plagiarize or cheat, check at the rubric that you give. If you worry about something, I've written an article 3 years ago about this. Take a piece of writing that the student wrote originally, even if it's an email or an excuse that they cannot be in class or see you. Compare it, send to the AI, you copy that part of text and you copy text of what you are wondering about out of the work they've handed in. And say to the AI, compare this and say to me if it's the same author, because the AI can do tone, style. It picks up patterns of writing. It picks up the person's writing personality as well. And the AI will tell you if it's written by the same author or not. So that's also how you can use it as a plagiarism or a copying checking tool. Not little Turnitin that only picks up words that are the same, but it actually goes into real analysis of the text. And by the way, that simple AI tool in Turnitin is a beta version, because nowhere in the world we have a real AI detection tool. We have an AI usage tool, but also not in Turnitin, because you need AI to be able to detect AI. And I really don't judge my students on percentages. That would be a little ridiculous. Right. You can see summarizing text, paraphrasing, structuring arguments, visualizing concepts, and manage citations. Now, I'm going to, without taking a lot of time, going to show you when I use a model like the AI, how to do all of that. If I'm a student now and not the supervisor, I can say something like this. Please give me a diagram of how I should write an academically sound paragraph. Right. So it knows already that I'm a master student now, or I'm working with a master student because it has picked it up there. And by the way, I had to log in, and I've got a paid version, but whether it's paid or not paid, I am logged in. This is my language model stuff. It's the knowledge this model works for me. No one else in the world can see this, and it's not shared with the world. So where that myth comes from, I don't know. But there's a collective AI that uses all knowledge together to see where the research is headed, but it won't use quotes from my work, my data, and my students. So all of this is part of the collective, and that's why I say in the global south, the more we feed the AI, the more its, let's call it artificial consciousness about how to answer questions is being grown. Right. So I'm asking the AI to draw a diagram for me. I'm pretending I'm the student. I might as well have asked it to summarize this, to draw a mind map, to place it in simple words. Yeah, I can see it's probably here with a network. Let's just see if this goes in again. Okay. Go.
Sorry, Dr. Arno.
Yes.
There are
Yes.
some few questions on the chat. I don't know. I didn't ask you earlier if you would prefer to take them later or as you go with your presentation.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Well, it's looking well. I get to those. So, where do we draw the line? I see is in here. We'll get to the ethical use now, because your intuition is supposed to say to you, right, are you totally going to hand in something that's difficult? And I think ethics is obviously something a supervisor must emphasize in, even in research before AI was there or used this much. Let's just see if it picks up faster now. There we go. Let's retry now. Okay. Right, then there's another question here. Light on how prompt-based AI and its editing activities. I don't understand that. I don't understand that question. Put some light on prompt-based AI. Okay, let's just see what's happening here. I think this is a network thing here. Right. While it's doing that, I'll come back to that now as an AI toolkit. Okay, so this would be how the student will use it, and you can give the student the idea of saying, but use the AI to draw a picture of what you've written here, and or a diagram, and is that really what you've written here? You can say to the student, right, how can we go along now on what will the next step be? You can ask the student to use the AI to write 4 different conclusions and decide which one is the one that fits the best, and then take the conclusion, and the student him or herself must edit it to fit into the actual study. That's how I use it creatively. It's all creating. It's all about creating. Right. So while I do this, and I think maybe that's what Abraham's question was about, is what do I say to postgraduates when I say to them, use the AI responsibly? I say to them these 5 AI do's and don'ts. Do understand the institution's AI guidelines. Don't use AI in a way that breaches the policies. If they try it, then it tells me something about the values. Use AI for drafting, brainstorming, or checking grammar. Don't use it to generate the final version of your work. Critically evaluate and fact check all outputs. Don't rely on AI to provide critical analysis or judgment. We know only a human can do that, right? Document how you use AI in your research. That is what I've earlier mentioned that I use for my students, is to hand in a workflow. And they must write in their, as part of their thesis. I have asked Quillbot or Copilot to give me an answer on this. I do not agree with the answer because. I agree with the answer because. Then by all means, a student can use the AI because it helps them thinking and it puts the metacognitive part better to create master and doctoral problem solvers, not thesis producers. So that's quite important. Right. Um, Document how you use the AI in your research. Don't copy AI generated text into your writing without attribution. Seek feedback from your supervisor. Don't share student or private data or information with the AI. Right. Because then the AI's response will say, I see that 65% of students loved using this, but Johnny and Sally did not like it. That's the only reason why we don't use these private names, because the AI doesn't have a variable to link it to, so it would use the name it picks up. Right. Any questions so far, ladies and gentlemen? Okay. Right. So there's so many ways in which I can use the AI. Okay. I have got a written proposal here. And this is where I want you to write inside. I'm going to give you 5 minutes for this one. Inside your Google form, there is an option for the scenario-based part of this. Just find the Google form again so that we can have a look. Right? Inside the Google form, I have placed in there a section, how you feel, the reflection on supervision tasks, everything that we actually do or have done here. So now there's a section also on the prompt reflection. And section 6 is on the case-based ethics reflection. So this is where we get to the ethics. So you can fill this out, but it would be good if you talk so that we can see what is happening here. Here's scenario 1, an AI written proposal. Right, the proposal that wrote itself. SIPO, a first-year master's student, submits a proposal draft that is impressively structured, uses formal academic language, and references a wide range of global studies. During a supervision meeting, he admits he used ChatGPT to help him to put the whole thing together. He explains that he copied his notes into ChatGPT, asked it to rewrite the section and compiled the results with minimal editing. Now, let's talk. What would your response be as the supervisor? How do you advise SIPO going forward while ensuring academic integrity and skill development? Right. I'm going to mute myself for 2 minutes. And I want you to think about this and let's see how you would handle this situation. Right. Let's think about this. Right. Is there anyone who would like to ask more questions or just throw a stone in the bush about that question, please? So no one. So no one then can actually supervise then, or what's the problem? Okay. Right. Let's continue to the next scenario. Want, not give, give, give. Right. Let's go to the next scenario. The silent assistant is the next case scenario. Dr. Mkhizi, a supervisor under pressure with multiple postgraduate students, uses ChatGPT to help draft feedback on a student's literature review. The tool rephrases and expands her comments. And I mean, if someone pops in an hour and a half later, says a lot. The tool rephrases and expands her comments. The feedback is detailed, constructive, and relevant. But the student suspects something feels too generic and asks whether AI was used. Dr. Mkhizi had not disclosed this. So here's a prompt for discussion. Is disclosure necessary when AI is used to assist in drafting feedback? What are the ethical and professional implications? And for me, what is very important, ladies and gentlemen, is if I use this and I know how to use this, I am able to guide my students. There's no such thing as drawing boundaries. The student will know how far to go. If you just let them loose and run across wherever they want to run in the comrades and not run on the path, then those students don't have proper guidance. But if I tell them what is ethically and I use it ethically and professionally correct, the student can only see my behavior of being responsible in using this. So I always say to people, why do they make comments about AI if they have not used it themselves? It's for me like standing at a surgeon while he or she is doing a heart transplant and telling them what to do without myself ever have transplanted a heart before. So it's very important that I look at this. Does anyone have perhaps a conclusion about this? What ethical and professional implications will I have when I use this? Anyone? You can answer in the chat if you like. Let's move to the next scenario. Glad this is recorded. Right. Scenario 3, planning with a bot. Narod is a doctoral student and a supervisor agreed to use AI to streamline their research planning. Together, they input their meeting notes into ChatGPT and use it to generate discussion topics, suggested readings, and action items for the next month. Lorata begins relying heavily on AI to prompt new questions at every meeting. Is this collaborative use of AI appropriate? What guidelines or limitations should be established to maintain academic rigor and student growth? I would say this is okay because I use the AI as an assistant. Guidelines or limits that should be established, the same things as in research. Don't use the names and data of real people. Don't um, go too far and say, right, how would I experiment on humans to be able to find a new dermatological product? That type of ethics clearance. Do not expose names or things that are really unrealistic. And that would be the prompt that I would have uttered in this discussion. Right. Um, we were quite busy on this one at the University of Limpopo. Everybody responded quite well, and they gave very valuable insights there to one another to build their kit. Right. And then in this last part of the workshop, you are going to,
Sorry,
yes,
Doc.
yes,
There
yes,
is a
sure.
comment from
Okay.
the chat
Yes.
regarding the previous
Ah,
case study
perfect,
from
perfect.
Mapungula. I think that it is important for the supervisor to declare the use of AI in supervision. It also
Yeah,
assists the student to learn the limits and get compatible with using AI ethically.
brilliant, brilliant. I think that's a very, very good answer. And it is, if you say, I was uncertain about this, if you speak to the student and you say, so I've used AI also to give, and remember the student must know they're in collaboration, to give us an idea. Then the student will see, okay, I can ask, but I must be able to talk about this. I think that's really a good answer. You declare that you've used it and it's fine. It also assists in how the student learns the limit, which means I cannot just bluntly go and copy and paste and ask superficial questions. I actually use it to help me to think. That's an excellent answer, and I think that's very good. So now when we look at this part, thank you for that reply. So now when I look at this specific part on segment 6, create your toolkit. And I've also given the template in that Google form where one can actually now know what to establish during this. What is your role as a supervisor when you use a specific AI tool? What are tools that I can adopt immediately during my supervision? Tools I will recommend with supervision. In other words, if you do supervision, what tools would you recommend? Number one, for yourself and for the student. And exactly like the comment or the questions, what we've been talking about, what boundaries will I set with students? In other words, the question we had earlier, how far do you want them to use the AI? So you see, this goes much deeper, and these students know this. Remember, a lot of these postgrads now are also, they've graduated or they finished school during lockdown. And some of them have lived and worked and have studied their pre-graduate, undergraduate studies during lockdown. So students are familiar with using this. They're on the ball. So where do I set the boundaries? And there's a form of table that I've included for you in the handout and in the workbook to set up your own list of tools. Um, Columns for the purpose, that's your role, the tool you can use, what is the ethical boundary, and do you have any comment about that? Right. Let's take, no, I don't want to take us, nothing happens in the 5 minutes. Right. So that is a simple summary for now about the tools that are now available. ChatGPT or Claude for feedback and refining comments, Whisper or Chat for transcription, Consensus to check the validity of claims and literature, Notion to organize notes and even arrange your meetings. And then there's Tactic, which is brilliant. It summarizes team and Zoom meetings for record keeping. Um, the reason why I would summarize online meetings or recorded meetings with my students as candidates is not just the superfluous reason for proof that we met and I helped the student and he or she still ignored me or something like that. I would use it to send the conversation that I had with a student and what the student answered through the AI so that the AI can pick up much deeper things about what the student does not understand and why the student asked me that question. Then I'll say to the AI, please give me a guideline on how I can help the student to reach, let's say, that specific goal, that specific answer, or even give me an idea of literature I can recommend to the student to read. So you get much, much richer feedback. And that's how I would use it also for supervision. Um, Tools that students can use with the guidance of the supervisor. That doesn't mean the supervisor show them how to click and tick in the tool. It means you give the limits, you say what they can use it for, and then you can ask the student to bring you the results and then start writing from that results that the student brought to you or the ideas. So there's a few mentioned. You can see Grammarly's in there as well, ChatGPT, Zotero, EndNote, which we already have, and the plugins that go with EndNote. Then if I formulate this, here are the tools I will use as a supervisor: drafting and feedback, research planning. Question here, very good. Um, where does one indicate that they have to use AI in a research paper? Say if they have the kit for summarizing and improving the text. Um, all that they do, that the students do, I think that's a very important question. Um, what I see most universities now do, and I'm talking globally, um, is that they write in their research methodologies. I have used the artificial intelligence to help me draw the outline of my conclusion, although I've written the conclusion myself. I have asked the AI to predict how this part would look like. Even though it did not work out like that, I changed it to that. So, in the methodology or somewhere in the text, you can say, I've mentioned the example earlier on where a student can say, I have also asked the AI to give me reasons for this. I agree with these reasons, and this is how it relates to my study. Or I do not agree with this reason the AI provided because. So, as part of the narrative and part of the writing, the student can indicate that they have used AI in this specific place. So you use it as if it's been part of the experiment, part of the journey, part of finding something, part of experimenting with something. And you can, the student can even say, I have used the AI to draw this mind map. I have used the AI to draw this infographic. So they can prominently state it in the thesis, in the text, and they can state it in the methodology. AI is not a list of sources because it has been an assistant. It is not a source. And then, yeah, here's for the students paraphrasing, literature summaries, writing development. Now, before I go to the next slide, I just want to jump back into the language model quickly, right? And you can see here is the layout of the diagram for writing an academically sound paragraph, right? Even the flow is drawn out here by the official or by the artificial intelligence. And look what it says to me. Would you like this diagram as a PDF handout or a poster style visual? I can generate that too. So I'm going to say, please create. It will know poster style, or let me write it out, a poster style visual. And exactly in the same way, I don't know why this, it's definitely here at UJ, because I'm in my office now. If this happens, okay, we can use so many of these things. Maybe I must just completely log out and log in again. It So while I'm doing that, this is typically how you would indicate. When I spoke to the developer, the CEO of Moodle, what is interesting, what he told me there is when he writes any type of document, what he does is he goes and he puts a little icon at the document for the part where he has used the AI to assist in the writing. So it is not the AI that would write that part. That is the simplest and the most basic and the most primitive level of using AI is to take AI to write something and copy and pasting it and trusting it and eating what it writes there for sweet cake. It just does not work in that way. So as soon as people start realizing this, and I found this from the previous workshop, I think Lorenzo picked that up as well, where lecturers said, wow, you are actually going to get students to start using the traditional way of still going to libraries and reading books um, because they know the AI is going to lead them in the correct direction. They can trust what it writes, but they cannot just copy and paste what it writes. Okay, so let's quickly see if I get something here. Right, let's try this one again, retry now. So I use this one 24/7, so Okay, let's just start a new chat. I'm going to copy this. That's what's great about the coding and the identifying stuff as well. I'm going to copy this. Let's do a new chat. Going to paste this. And right at the bottom, I'm going to prompt it. There's so many things, even the deep research that's available here. You can find the most awesome things just by playing around in the AI. Please draw the following diagram. Paste its own answer there. Let's see what comes back now. Because somehow I think there's maintenance on either the Wi-Fi here or the network. Maybe I should have presented this from home. Okay, so it's thinking there. There are so many AIs that I can use to do this. Let me quickly show you this one. I usually use this to help me to generate a lot of things. There's Jenny AI, which is fantastic. Jen Craft, author, which is brilliant. Artistly. So when I want to go and I want to create a character, I want to create a diagram, AI videos, all found with a simple Google search. But GenCraft is usually very good. So let's see if it is, yeah, very slow. To log in quickly.
Sorry, Doc. Just to
Yes.
ask, I've noticed that in all your prompts you're using please. How important is that compared to using commands like write this, give this?
It is a very harsh way of, then I'm commanding something. And I use please because it gives a certain politeness to the AI. It is, after all, my assistant. So I will always say please, and then it does it and it answers more politely as well. If I say, write this, do this, it's I see it, although it's an AI, I would still politely talk to it. The reason for this is it says chat GPT. So what I always say to people here is I'm chatting with the artificial intelligence, but if I use it academically correct, this chat changes into a discussion. And the AI remains in discussion with me. I determine the discourse around a topic, but the AI becomes my partner, my assistant in what I am doing. And the purpose of today is I cannot use tools. I cannot see this as a tool. I see this as my actual assistant. And I'm conveying to you how I use this to help me supervise postgraduate students. So I always type in please, and I also ask it to type in for, or I always say thank you or excellent, you are doing well, let's change it to this. So the politeness makes a huge difference at the end. This seems to me this is the UJ network. Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely not, because these things are so fast. The thing is, if you've got the paid version, what you can do is also, like I'm now using ChatGPT, you could use Claude, you could use Copilot, which is free if for all of us, because we've got a Microsoft account. I can Google that quickly and just show you, though I am signed in. Google uses Monica, it uses Gemini. So all of these free things are available for us. Let's go. There's Consensus. I was referring to Copilot. Okay, and I think this will be free because it's Microsoft. Your AI companion. Um, if I go into Copilot, Monica, they're all over the place. So it's just using the one that uh, uh, you feel familiar with. With Copilot, when I sign in, I'm going to be asked for my UJ account because we all have got access to Office 365. And then automatically Copilot is used and plugged in. I'm going to say to Copilot, for instance, you see, again, I'm polite with it. Please draw a diagram of how I must write an academic paragraph. All in the prompting. What I say to most students is do not use the AI if you cannot formulate a research question. You see, there it says to me, continue with Microsoft, with my Apple account, or with Google. I'm now not going to just going in with Google for now. If it was the Microsoft, it would be the authenticity um, that I now have to clear first when I log in and so on. Now it wants to. Let's go in here. There's definitely something on this network. But I can show you in previous things that I've done. Yes, for instance, one of the subjects on qualitative techniques, and I ask her to summarize a chapter for the students and then show a little bit more. And I can even download the content completely. If I look at one of these into education, let's say AI detection in Turnitin, and I said, okay, here it gave me best practices, the fact that AI, you cannot work with scores alone, usually indicates mostly human writing. Do cross-reference. Don't penalize solely on an AI score and turn it in. Things like that. And then I went down and I started with please, and I said to the AI, this is brilliant, thank you. Please create an infographic. And it created an infographic for me. So what you saw here on the slides that I showed you today was my conversation with ChatGPT a few days ago, where I said, please integrate AI into education about supervision. And it gave me diagrams. It also showed me do's and don'ts. I had to check everything, and then I drew up the tables for you. So it helped me on the pathway perfectly to get these things done for you. So in the same way, a diagram, a brainstorming image, any of these GPTs that I find in here, I can use and ask Chat to create it for me. And this, the students know. Look at this one, data analysis. And these already exist in ChatGPT. Data analysis and report AI. Data analysis with SPSS. And it's obviously got Atlas TI also in here. And the students will use this because the AI helped them. Then they don't have to go on a course for this. but they still have to formulate the trends and still prompt what they want. But it's much faster and easier than to have a license and download the software. That's why the students use AI. And the most important thing with AI is the students get immediate feedback without an appointment. And that's what makes it so highly effective. We sit with generations of instant gratification. I want to know it, and I want to know it now, like you would Google or immediately get something. There isn't time to plan a trip um, to another country to get to a library. You get it from the internet. And that's why the students like this. Right. So the GPTs exist. I can type anything in here. Let's say draw graphs. And that those GPTs exist. There's even Physics Pro. And if I click on that, that specific chat line, already rated by hundreds of people, and students use this, Maths and Statistics Pro, and I prompt what I want. Indicate how, oh, my T, how Pythagoras can be used for skateboarding. And this is why school kids sit there for hours in front of the computer. And those of you who've got kids, small children in the sorry, the third screen here is behind my my laptop screen. Okay, so that's why the school kids and the they sit for hours in front of that, and your younger children, if you say to them, "Don't do that, you'll cut yourself," then they'll say, "No, I won't," and I've Googled it already. So this is the new generation students, and you can see there, this is what the AI gives back to me. So what has happened now? I cannot write this down as a thesis, but the AI actually just taught me how to use this. And that's what students do. So it's very interesting how they use this. And now, there it gives me an example. I've got a wonderful thing that I've done here, and it was about a week ago. Yeah, I looked at it again yesterday. I said I wanted to take my 3D printer and I want to create plastic cylinders, pipes that I can play on like a xylophone with perfect pitch as an instrument, as a musical instrument. And you will see here from all my many chats, those are the projects that you can do when you have I think I erased that one, but I've still got it opened up here. I copied it into a Word document. Let me just open it and show you quickly. And what I've done is I've asked the artificial intelligence to create this for me so I can print and build a xylophone like, and there it gave it to me. There was my prompt, I want to make an instrument like a xylophone with hollow PLG tubes on my 3D printer, and with all the octaves and the half tones. The second octave must be middle C, and so I gave it with PLA tubes, and it gave me an overview, the range. It even gave me the frequency of each note. There it gave me the formula with which it works, the length of the actual tubes. It gave me a graph on that, and it asked me from here on, what should it do, or should it cut the longer tubes that's longer than the capacity for me? I mean, this was research worked out for me. I have to do it, but I cannot do that if I don't understand this. And that's where the learning takes place. So one can actually ask yourself, how can I create in supervision my student to use these things so that they understand? But it helps you to climb a lot of barriers without getting someone sitting next to you holding the hand step by step, but enhance that hand holding by letting the student do something for themselves as well. Right. So that is quite important for me. Okay, let me continue with this. Right. Your boundaries and support plan for the students in your toolkit. When is the use of AI acceptable? You make the notes and you inform the student. Can you see these are things no one has got answers? Only you, as a subject matter expert, will know how far to go without being scared of artificial intelligence. Use it as the assistant. The students are going to use it anyway. When is it not acceptable? How will I teach students to reflect on AI use? So that's why to my students, I give a workflow for them to fill in. And they must show me how they have used the AI by declaring and by saying, I've changed the prompt to this. From the prompt, I now learned this. And they must sometimes copy and paste what they've got in there. I will ask students to disclose their AI usage. So I think everything that I've touched here, I've actually, in a sense, answered the questions that were asked. And the best way for you to know the limits, the boundaries, and to what extent you allow students to use it is up to how you experience the use of the AI. Keep away things you think they need to think more about, but give them simple things that actually wastes a student's time. Let them rather use the AI then. So it's all up to your guidance, but you have to play and sit down with us. Have to play with it because that's what we are paid to do. Right. So let's wrap up quickly. And the important thing here for me is small. We didn't actually, I showed you the resources. You didn't share much with me. So it was very much one-sided. It was more a lecture than an actual workshop. Start small. Don't adopt everything at once. Use one or two of these AI platforms. First, see how it benefits you and the student, and how it benefits you as a supervisor. If you came with the expectation that you don't have to do anything, the AI will supervise for you, ain't gonna happen. It cannot happen. Always disclose, that's now to your students, when using AI. Encourage critical thinking, not AI dependence. Very important there. Right. And then I just want to open up the last part here, and that is, see, I've still got it open. That's that handout I hope you have downloaded by now, because it's not going to be I'll look at the recording again type of thing, because that is a very bad practice we actually taught our students. Don't come to class, you can get the slides. And the slides is a summary of another summary. Right, so this is how your handout looks like. And you see in here everything that I've done, where the workbook is in there, and everything I've shown you. And you'll see right at the end of it all, I've added for you this essay on AI transcription in postgraduate supervision, how it is used and what one can do with it. And at the end of this, let's just go down to the end of this little article. There I've given you a lot of reading material that you can use. Let's just close that one up. Right? Mixed theoretical and empirical studies of how this has been done already worldwide. The reading list, that's just the copyright of this whole workshop. And then there's more since 2010 that all of this has been used in supervision with the AI. Right. So it's not new to the world. People have been using it all over. The world is bigger than our borders. So, and we only learn from them. The ethics of using AI in qualitative research, they are all here. Right. Right, ladies and gentlemen, are there any other questions? Because that workbook actually helps you to build your own toolkit. There is no one size fits all for everybody. Depends on your subject, your own skills, your use of AI, and your style of supervision. Right. Any questions, ladies and gentlemen? Anybody skipped with the bread or the wine? Okay, then thank you very much. I'm going to stop sharing my screen now. Okay.
Okay, thank you so much, Dr. Arno, for that good and informative presentation. Colleagues, now the floor is open for questions. If you do have any question, just unmute your mic. I have enabled all your mics. Just unmute your mic, or alternatively, you can type under the chat. I think we still have about 2 minutes before we can officially end this session. So if you do have any question, any pressing question before we can officially end this session, this is now the time. I just see some few comments. Thank you, Dr. Arno, for the extremely insightful presentation. You have encouraged me to use AI.
I'm happy with that. I think everybody realized now, you must sit down and play with the AI, see what it gives you back. Don't be scared of it. The more you use it, the more you'll realize how students use it. And the world was waiting for this, I think, for hundreds of years, and everything changed. There was, in fact, a Sunday evening when I was driving, there was a wonderful conversation on how it changes the whole world of education, and it has already started with the changes. So there's great stuff coming here. We must adapt, or else we'll die. So that's the big thing. Use what the modern human mind needs.
Thank you, Dr. Arno. Colleagues, please do access those links under the chat, whereby you can get the book as well as this presentation. Dr. Arno actually shared all the resources with us, so it is advisable for you to access those links now while the session is still active, rather than going back into the recording of the session. So I've downloaded all my tools, and yeah, it's very rich content. So please do access those links. So I see another comment. Thank you so much. Very insightful. That was Dr. Beauty and Dr. Mapungula. Yes, I realize the more you engage it and prompt it, the more beneficial it is. I will definitely use it more. I think it can really teach how to write. I kind of agree with Dr. Mapungula and Dr. Arno, because I noted the way you prompt, the way you write your prompt. So it's like you are talking to a human being. So I found that very helpful in order for me to get the good feedback and more humanized feedback. So thank you for that, Dr. Arno. Uh,
Thank
case,
you so much. I can also add, sorry, I'm interrupting you. One of the slides where I said your role as supervisor, what you say to the AI is, you are a supervisor. You say it like that to the AI. You are a supervisor that must give feedback. And immediately the AI understands in which role it is supposed to be, and it will answer you likewise.
Uh, yes, thank you for that. I'm just trying to reshare the links now because I see Dr. Tandiwe asked for the links. So I'm just resharing them again. Colleagues, please do access those links. So I've shared all the links, the Google form, as well as the booklet that Dr. Anno has shared with us. So access those links now before we can officially close the session. I don't know if I'm closing anyone out with the question because now it's 2 minutes past 12. But before that, let me just wait a few seconds and see if I'm seeing any new comment or anything. Okay, I don't see
I've got
anything
a
new.
question.
Okay, go ahead.
Yes, that was very insightful, Dr. Arno. I wanted to find out, where does one indicate that they've used AI, for instance, in their thesis? Is it in the acknowledgement section or declaration? And for
Okay?
the article, where does one indicate that they've used AI? Thank you.
What I usually do is I put it in as part of the narrative, and I put it into the methodology sections. So I would say during this method, I have used the AI to help me to do whatever I did with the methodology or the data analysis. And if it is something like an argument, I would say, I have asked, or the following prompt has been typed in to, let's say, ChatGPT. This was the answer. I agree or I disagree with it. So I don't put it in as a source because it's an assistant. So I just mention it as part of the narrative to guide what I'm writing in the discussion, as well as in methodology. I put it in, it will be used to help with this, or it will be used to analyze this section. I hope that that helps.
It does. Thank you.
Welcome.
Well, thank you so much, colleagues, and thank you so much to our facilitator, Dr. Anna. for such a very insightful session. Colleagues, I've also shared under the chat the feedback which we'll be sharing with the facilitator at the later stage. Please do take your 3 minutes and fill that feedback in. It helps us as well as the facilitators to improve our service delivery. So we kindly request you to take your 3 minutes and fill that feedback. I would like to thank Dr. Arno once again. Thank you so much for taking your time in facilitating today's workshop. We do hope and believe that the colleagues who have joined us today, they have learned something that they can share with their student or other colleagues that they want to share with. And those who are researchers who are doing their postgraduate studies, please do, colleagues, remember to use AI in an ethical manner. And where you have used AI, please do declare, as Dr. Arno has mentioned, that it is very important to declare that you have used AI in your certain section of your study or of your research. So with that being said, colleagues, I'm now officially ending this session. You can have a great day further. Looking forward to other upcoming workshops. I see there's a question on the chat. When I write a text and refine it with AI, and after it is detected as AI generation, while it is my own ideas, how to deal with this? So I
Yeah.
know this happens a lot with Grammarly. Dr. Arno, you can go ahead.
Yeah, and it's a typical Turnitin answer that. No, what I would do is I would anyway add a source in where someone might question if it is AI generated. So it doesn't mean you get your answer with the AI and you just add a source in. It means go check if what you say exists and where does it exist. Else it seems like a sweeping statement. Same thing, and the AI will pick it up.
Thank you for that, Dr. Anna. And thanks for the question, Dr. Ariel. I hope you are answered now. Thank you, colleagues. I don't know if I'm still closing anyone with a pending question. Let me just wait. Okay. I see that there are no further questions. Thank you, colleagues, once again for joining. I'm now officially ending the session. You can have a great day further. Thank you once again to Dr. Arno. I'll be sharing a feedback as well as the full attendance report of this workshop with you, Dr. Arno. If you can give me probably 5 days, and then once the feedback has been generated fully, and then I can share with you all the resources. Thank you so much for taking your time once again.
Thank you, everybody. Thanks for the opportunity. Enjoy. Happy playing.
Thank you, everyone. Have a great day further. Bye.